My boyfriend accompanied me to try on wedding dresses, and he left in a hurry halfway through. Half an hour later, my boyfriend's childhood sweetheart sent me a photo. The location was on the balcony of her house. My boyfriend, who never did any housework, was washing her underwear. I saved the screenshot and sent, with such a small bust size. Does she still need to wear a bra? In the 3rd year of my relationship with Riven, he quit his job to start a new company, and I changed my career to become a freelance illustrator. We had met each other's parents and set the wedding date. On the day of trying on wedding dresses, Riven specially rushed back from another city to accompany me. Before I even put on the wedding dress, he was called away by a phone call. Riven, hadn't filled my end sigh. Where are you? Come quickly. That damn boss drugged me. I was all too familiar with the voice on the other end of the phone. I'm so dizzy. If you don't come soon, my innocence will be gone. It's extremely urgent. Please help me. It was Meta, Riven's childhood friend. This excuse was a bit better than the previous ones. Before I could say, go ahead, Riven interrupted me. There's a temporary meeting at the company. I need to go back. Just buy whichever one you like. You'll look good in anything. I gave a light laugh and nodded in agreement. He was the boss now. Who could make him go back for a meeting? And he was still using the same excuse as when he was an employee. After putting on the wedding dress, the clerk praised how nice it looked. I took a photo and posted it on Moments and received a lot of blessings below. Half an hour later, Meta sent me a picture. I clicked on it and immediately took a screenshot and saved it. The man on the balcony had deep and sharp facial features. His side face was bathed in the warm yellow sunset, covered with a golden halo. Riven had an outstanding appearance. His facial lines were cool, clear, gentle, and elegant. He was very popular among girls when he was in college. He was lowering his head and washing something in the sink. Zooming in, it was a pink bra. Usually at home, a man who wouldn't even wash the dishes was helping another woman wash her underwear. After a while, the photo was withdrawn. It was her usual trick. I no longer had the previous irritability and helplessness. I slowly sent a few words, with such a small bust size. Does she still need to wear a bra? Meta came to Nancy half a year ago. She came with Riven's mother. When we went to pick them up at the airport, Riven rode the car that my father had just sponsored for him. I sat in the passenger seat and asked him what kind of daughter-in-law his mother would like. Riven held my hand and said with a smile in his tone, "They'll like whoever you are." Of course. I didn't believe it. After talking to his mother on the phone a few times, my intuition told me that the woman with a strong accent didn't like me. Riven. Long time no see. I missed you so much. As soon as we got out of the car, a bright yellow figure rushed into Riven's arms, followed by a middle-aged woman. Riven's steps paused. Obviously, having fulfilled Sai. He was also startled. Soon, Sai. I saw full of joy in his eyes. His tone was filled with uncontrollable surprise and happiness. Meta. Why are you here too? What? Not welcome? It doesn't matter if you don't welcome me. I'm staying in Nancy this time and won't leave. The two of them played around as if no one else was around. I stood there blankly, my face a bit stiff, as if just noticing my existence. Meta patted Riven's shoulder. Is this sister-in-law? Why don't you introduce her? You left her standing there. Riven paused, looking a bit embarrassed, and took my hand. Aurelia. This is my childhood friend. We all call her Tautau. Tautau. You little heartless thing. You rushed to your Riven brother so quickly and left this useless one behind. The woman speaking was wearing a brown coat. Her hair was neatly combed. Her face was covered with wrinkles. And when she smiled, her face was full of creases. Riven said that his mother was only 50 years old, but she looked almost as old as my grandmother, who was nearly 70. Meta trotted over to support Riven's mother and coaxed her into smiling with just a few words. What are you standing there for? Go and help. Riven pushed me. I almost lost my balance while wearing high heels. Taking the suitcase. Meta joked. Sister-in-law is a lady from a noble family. How can she do this kind of work? Let me do it. Oh, let her take it. You've been tired from the journey. Go and rest in the car for a while. Later. Let your brother take you to a restaurant. Riven's mother snatched the suitcase and pushed it to my hand, glaring at the high heels on my feet. Riven also pushed her shoulder and helped her open the door of the passenger seat. The restaurant was chosen as a rather high-end Chinese restaurant in the city center, which was the one that Riven and I usually went to. As soon as we entered the store, Riven's mother shouted to change to another one, saying that the price was too expensive. Riven managed to persuade her after a lot of talking. Meta skillfully sat beside Riven, and I could only sit in the only seat beside his mother. Aurelia likes the taste of this store. People in Nanshi think it's the most authentic. Wasting money. It's not easy for you to earn money. You should save it. When Riven's mother spoke, her eyes swept over me intentionally or unintentionally. A girl like Meta is good. She's filial and sensible and never spends money recklessly. Her tone was natural and affectionate, as if Meta was the real girlfriend of her son. The meal was dull. They were talking about old things in their hometown at the dinner table, and I couldn't get a word in. When I tried to join in the middle, Riven impatiently said, "You wouldn't understand even if I told you." I lowered my eyelids and remained silent. Sister-in-law. You don't know. He was so naughty when he was a kid. Meta was putting food in Riven's bowl beside him, her voice full of laughter. Obviously very proud. I've known Riven for over 20 years. I know everything about him. It's 22 years and 3 months. I still remember how you looked when you were wearing open-crotch pants. Riven put the adjusted dipping sauce in front of her and emphasized specially. No garlic. More sesame paste. I remembered correctly, right? At that moment, I was a bit stunned. And the food in my mouth tasted like wax. 3 days ago, on our 3rd anniversary of being in a relationship, he was on a business trip. With my reminder, he ordered a matcha-flavored cake. I didn't like matcha. I had told him many times. Coming out of the toilet, I heard Riven's mother talking about me. Your girlfriend is like a mute. For a girl from a wealthy family. I think she's not as good as Meta. She's been spoiled by her family since she was a child. Mom, don't take it too hard. I felt a pang in my heart. When Riven was chasing me, I had told him about my family situation. How could he say such things about me? Meta came back from the front desk and handed Riven her phone. It's paid. You haven't changed your phone password yet? They looked at each other and then both burst out laughing. It was another story that I didn't know. Their smiles were like a sharp knife, stabbing into my chest, making me so painful that I couldn't say a word. I picked up my bag on the seat and left without looking back. Spoiled? Since she said it, I couldn't let them slander me. I drove away. On the way back, Riven kept calling me. Aurelia. What do you mean? You drove the car away. What are we supposed to do? I took a deep breath and suppressed the bitterness that had been building up all noon. And then it burst out. What to do? Do what you did before. Before buying the car. Riven squeezed into the subway and buses to and from work, looking all dusty. I felt sorry for him having a hard time at work every day, and didn't want him to waste time on unnecessary commuting. So I asked my father to sponsor him 200 yuan. All his money was invested in the new company. The car cost less than 100 yuan. It hadn't been long. Had he forgotten who the owner of the car was? When Riven returned to the apartment, it was already midnight. He kicked his shoes randomly at the entrance, making a loud noise. I was resting in the bedroom. He walked straight in and shook me awake. Aurelia. What's wrong with you today? Don't you know that you made me lose face like this? His voice was cold and selfish, without any of the usual gentleness and thoughtfulness. I half leaned on the bed, rubbing my arm that was pulled painfully by him. Lose face? Didn't you hear what your mother said about me? Riven. Which is more important? Your face or me? In the 3 years of our relationship with Riven, we rarely had arguments, let alone quarreled like this today. What's that phrase? Treating each other with respect. Riven turned on the bedside lamp. The warm yellow light shone on his handsome side face, and the dim room was instantly lit up. Seeing that I didn't look well, he paused for a few seconds and then slowly hugged me in his arms, My mother is old, and she's an elder. Could you be more accommodating to her? Riven softened his tone and became the gentle and elegant man he used to be again. Sorry. I had a bad temper today. I apologize to you. I was so aggrieved that my eyes turned red. Even my stepmother, who was two-faced, had never said such things to me. What about Fiammetta? Isn't she just an ordinary friend? I didn't even know you two were so close. I sounded a bit jealous. Your mother thinks I'm not as good as her. I don't know which sentence irritated Riven. He suddenly stood up. His tall figure blocked the dim yellow light at the head of the bed, and the room fell into darkness again. We're talking about my mother. Why are you bringing Doudou into this? She's just a young girl and doesn't know anything. The man's voice was urgent and stern. His sudden temper startled me. I bit my lip, held back the tears in my eyes, and took a deep breath. Fine. I had known Riven for 5 years and been in a relationship with him for 3 years. For his sake, I was willing to try to get along with his family and friends. I hoped he wouldn't let me down. At that time, I was sincere. Before he left the room, out of politeness, I asked, "Did you send Auntie to the hotel?" Riven paused, his eyes gloomy, and nodded. After that day, I took on a commercial manuscript and had been staying in the rented small apartment to design sketches. Riven was as busy as usual at the company. During that period, I asked him if he wanted to take his mother to visit around Manchi. There were quite a few scenic spots around that were very popular among outsiders. Riven rejected my proposal, only saying that his mother was tired from the flight and wanted to rest more. I wanted to visit his mother at the hotel, but Riven also flatly refused. I was of course glad that I didn't have to contact Riven's mother. I first met Riven's mother half a year ago. At that time, my relationship with Riven had become stable, and we wanted to take it further. So we arranged for our parents to meet. At the dinner table, Riven's mother couldn't stop praising her son, saying that he was a young talent and had achieved a lot at a young age. Many girls in their hometown had their eyes on him, and it was my good fortune that he took a liking to me. My father had never lost his temper with anyone for years. During that entire dinner, he remained silent all along, relying solely on his self-restraint and didn't flare up on the spot. Fortunately, having fulfilled my insai, Riven had always stood up for me, which was also the reason why my father agreed to this marriage. It wasn't until my best friend called me that I learned that the new house my father bought for my wedding was actually the hotel where Riven's mother was staying. When I rushed to the new house, my best friend was blocked outside the door. She put her hands on her hips and shouted inside, "This is my best friend's house. Why won't you let me in?" A shrill voice came from inside the room, sounding like a hen with its neck being stepped on. "Because I'm the biological mother of the house owner. Why should an outsider like you hold the key to the house?" I didn't call the police just because of my son's face. I carefully selected everything from the decoration to the furniture of the new house and supervised the work in person. The Scienti saucer on the coffee table was fired by Riven and me in Jingdekhan last year. Our names were engraved on it, and it had been well taken care of all along. But now it had been opened, and one of the cups was smashed to pieces. "Aurelia, they even used your new wedding sheets," my best friend shouted angrily. I clenched my fists tightly and quickly walked into the bedroom. The bright red wedding quilt that had been neatly folded before was now wrinkled and messy. The sudden rush of anger made it hard for me to breathe. Seeing that my face didn't look right, Fiammetta came forward, pulled at my sleeve, and said in a very aggrieved tone, "Sister-in-law, don't be angry. I didn't know those were for your wedding. Riven said that Auntie and I could use the things in the room." My best friend pushed away her tightly grasped hand and swung it back. "Are you blind or were you never taught any manners? How can an outsider like you casually touch the things in the new house?" Fiammetta fell backward as if she had no bones. Riven's mother supported her and then pointed at my best friend's nose and started scolding. "What kind of person are you? Running here and shouting randomly. Doudou is my godreader. You're the only outsider in this whole room. Our family doesn't welcome you. Leave immediately." Riven's mother's posture of scolding with her hands on her hips was just like that of a shrew. Although my best friend was usually a bit fierce, when facing such an unreasonable person, She was also stunned for a moment. I held her hand, looked at the two people in front of me, and said coldly, word by word, Blythe is my best friend. She can come to my home whenever she wants. The expression on Riven's mother's face changed several colors in an instant. She didn't expect that the quiet and gentle girlfriend her son usually talked about would refute her words. She had originally thought that I was an easy person to control. She couldn't help but soften her tone a lot. Aurelia. We thought the hotel room fee was too expensive. Anyway, haven't fulfilled my obsession. It's the house of you and Riven. We moved in early to add to the festive atmosphere. I looked at her wrinkled face covered with powder and found her appearance disgusting. I suddenly remembered the disdainful tone she used when she mentioned me in the restaurant that day. No way. Our family doesn't have such a rule. Fiammetta. You and Auntie. Pack up your things. I'll take you to stay in a hotel. Stay in a hotel? I'm not going anywhere. There's no such rule that a mother can't stay in her son's house. Riven's mother plopped down on the sofa without taking off her shoes and sat cross-legged, leaning back. The off-white sofa was immediately soiled. I grabbed her arm, trying to make her put her legs down. Fiammetta looked at me, pursed her lips, and her expression instantly became aggrieved. Sister-in-law. How can you drive Auntie away? Auntie is an elder. Fiammetta. Please watch your words. I'm asking. Not driving her away. Aurelia. A suppressed roar came from the entrance. The man frowned, walked over, and threw my arm away. How can you talk to my mother like that? Watch your attitude. My fiancé rushed in and accused me without even asking about the right and wrong. I almost forgot that he was the one who started all this. Didn't we say to send them to the hotel? Why are they in my new house? At that moment, Riven's face made my heart turn cold. We had promised each other that we would never deceive each other. Shut up, Riven hissed. She's my mother. What's wrong with her staying in my house? I pinched my palm hard to hold back the urge to slap the man. Okay. Then what about her? Why is she also staying here? I pointed at Fiammetta behind him. She seemed to be frightened by my tone, shrank behind Riven, and said pitifully, Sister-in-law. If you don't like me staying here, I'll move out. I can stay anywhere. Her reasonableness made me seem like I was being unreasonable. Aurelia. Have you had enough? Don't go too far. Riven's tone was icy, and his look at me was even colder. Riven. Who's being too far? You let your childhood sweetheart stay in your fiancé's new house and use the new wedding things. Are you out of your mind? My best friend pointed at the tea set on the table and then at the new house. Only then did Riven notice that the door of the new house was open. I hinted guilt flashed in his eyes, and his expression when looking at Fiammetta became serious. Didn't I say that except for that room? You can stay in any other room. Fiammetta's eyes turned red, and her gaze was sad. Riven's mother jumped up and hugged her in her arms. Don't blame Doudou. I asked her to stay. It's just a room. What's the big deal about staying in it? She turned around and went back to the room to pack her things, saying angrily, Son, take me to the station. This family is too precious. I can't afford it. Seeing his mother swallowing her anger, the little bit of guilt that Riven had originally disappeared in an instant. He quickly stepped forward to stop her. Riven's mother seemed to have made up her mind and left resolutely. Before leaving, she specifically told him, I don't care who you marry, but you must take good care of Doudou. You're often not at home and she's the one who takes care of me. If you dare to let anyone bully her, I won't forgive you. She glanced at me, rolled her eyes, pushed Fiammetta beside her into Riven's arms, and her eyes were full of dissatisfaction towards me. Riven's mother left, and Fiammetta stayed in a hotel. In front of Riven, I threw the ceramic tea set into the trash can and replaced all the sheets and bedding. He looked unhappy but didn't say anything in the end. I originally thought that this was just an unpleasant little episode before marriage. Until that day, I happened to learn a trick to identify his comeback from the internet. While Riven was taking a shower, I checked his cell phone, opened Alipay, and logged into the National Government Service platform with his information. The column for the marriage certificate was blank. I let out a long sigh of relief and felt annoyed at my being suspicious recently. Since Riven's mother went back to her hometown, our relationship had become a bit delicate. After all, I had overthought it. When I was about to exit the page, somehow I clicked on the divorce column below. The information on the screen shocked me. My whole body seemed to be numb and froze in place. The only feeling was that it seemed as if a big hole had been dug in my heart, and cold wind was blowing into it. In the column for the divorce certificate, the name of the woman was clearly written as Faya Mehta. The time of the divorce was 3 months before I started dating him. The man I had left for 3 years was divorced. He had kept it from me for 3 years and hadn't planned to tell me until now. He even brought his ex-wife in front of me and lied that she was just a friend. My face turned pale. My pupils trembled slightly. I grasped the collar of my chest tightly with my hands, and my breathing became rapid. I forced myself to calm down and tremblingly recorded a video with my fingers. Riven came out of the bathroom and didn't notice the abnormality of my expression. Recently, besides focusing on the company, his mind was all on arranging a job for Faya Mehta. When I saw my best friend again, I put the video in front of her. Damn it. I've never seen such a shameless person. Marry my ass. My best friend was so angry that she broke out in a cold sweat. Are you just going to let him off easily? It felt like my heart was being stabbed by several sharp knives. But the words I said were extremely clear. Word by word. I'll make Riven return double the benefits he got from my family. Life went on as usual. And Riven was even busier than before. Now, besides taking care of me, his fiancé, he also had to soothe his ex-wife's emotions. No wonder he was so stretched that he always looked exhausted every time I saw him. Because of the incident where she was molested by her boss last time, Faya Mehta resigned from her previous company and was arranged by Riven to work as an administrative staff in his company. When he told me about it, I just nodded slightly to show that I knew. Riven had thought that I would make a big fuss. But he didn't expect that I was so reasonable. He affectionately kissed me on the forehead and then rushed off to the next thing. He still didn't know that the gentle and harmless dow in his mouth had secretly provoked me countless times. The warm winter sun shone on the glass display window through the thin clouds. I stood downstairs in Riven's company, holding a bouquet of foxtail lilies in my hands. From Faya Mehta's contact information, I found her Weibo. In her latest post, 3 days ago, she was wearing a beautiful purple long dress, holding a bouquet of lilies with a happy face. And the caption read, "I want to spend my birthday with the most important person. May all happiness come unexpectedly." Riven had liked it. It turned out that the so-called work on the day of the family dinner 3 days ago was actually to celebrate Faya Mehta's birthday. I curled my lips and stepped into the door of the office. The little girl at the front desk stopped me and asked if I had an appointment. Sister-in-law? A slightly chubby man walked up from behind. He was Riven's partner in the company and also his friend since childhood. Syls. He stared at me with a look of astonishment, as if he couldn't believe that I would appear here. Syls must have known Faya Mehta. I didn't know how much he knew about their marriage. I smiled and nodded. Is Riven in? I happened to be passing by and dropped in to have a look. To have a look at what? At the two cheaters. Since the company was founded, I had never been here. Firstly, I wasn't interested in setting up a company. Secondly, Riven had repeatedly emphasized that he would take care of things outside while I should focus on the family. And that I didn't need to come to the company unless necessary. Syl as his eyes flickered. He looked back at an office behind him. When I was about to touch the doorknob, he called out, "Riven, sister-in-law is here." His attempt to cover up was too obvious. I hid the gloom in my eyes and pushed the door open. The room inside was clean and tidy with a broad view. Riven was sitting on the chair, straightening his somewhat untidy collar. Across the desk, he handed a document to the person opposite him. "Aurelia, why are you here?" Riven's tone wasn't friendly and even carried a bit of blame. "It's the company my father invested in and founded. Can't I come?" I retorted. Riven frowned. He had always boasted of being noble and unwilling to admit that his current status was due to his future father-in-law. The woman standing in front of the desk turned around. It was none other than Faya Mehta. There was an abnormal redness on her lips, and the wrinkles on her chest were particularly noticeable. She raised her eyebrows at me, picked up the document, and was about to leave. Riven. You two talk first. I'll come back later. Wait a minute. Fiammetta frowned, and the look she cast over was unfriendly. I held the lilies and handed them to her. Meeting her puzzled expression, I explained. Belated birthday wishes. Fiammetta was stunned for a moment and thanked me without any sincerity. Riven seemed to sense my unusual behavior today. He pursed his lips and said in a flat voice, "Is there anything wrong?" I shook my head and deliberately stepped forward to take his arm. "Can't I come if there's nothing wrong?" However, he found an excuse to pull his arm away. I still caught a faint sweet scent of women's perfume on him. The same as the one on Fiammetta. He once said that he didn't like me wearing perfume. So in all these years when we went shopping in the mall, no matter how much I liked a certain scent, I never tried it. Whether Riven loved me or not had long shown signs. "I'm here to talk to you about the betrothal gifts." As usual, I propped my chin up and smiled at him. As if in this big world, he was the only one in my heart and eyes. Riven froze on the spot. After a while, he said with some difficulty, "Didn't we already talk about the betrothal gifts? I don't have any liquid funds for the moment. The company has just been established. I'll make it up in the future." I blinked to show my agreement. That's what I told my dad too. But my dad said that if there's no betrothal gift, then there won't be any dowry either. Riven turned his back to me and sighed. The look of disgust in his eyes didn't escape my sight. "Then, so be it. Not only is there no cash, but the money for the car I bought you and the new house on Bidow Street will also be taken back." My eyes turned red, looking helpless and pitiful. "Are we going to get married in the rented small apartment?" Riven turned around, not bothering to hide his dissatisfied expression. "Why? That's my car. And the house. We also agreed on the house at the beginning." His gaze fell on my face and paused slightly. His voice carried a hint of suspicion. "Aurelia, is something wrong?" I forced out to tears, and my voice was full of sobs. "My family said that for a marriage where the two families are not well matched, the man should show his sincerity." Riven. I never believed these words before. But enough. How much do you want? Riven stood still and interrupted coldly. I timidly held up 5 fingers. 500,000. Are you crazy? Where can I get you 500,000? You've been pampered since childhood and never had to worry about money. Do you know how long it takes to earn 500,000? Aurelia. If you don't want to get married, we don't have to. The last sentence was almost shouted out by Riven. In the 3 years with Riven, I had been very accommodating to him. He came from a poor family, grew up in a single-parent family, and was admitted to a prestigious university from a small town. He was inferior and sensitive. Often, I didn't know which words would prick his fragile nerves. And he would keep a cold face and not say a word for a long time. If it were before, I would never have made things difficult for him. I would even reflect on whether I had gone too far. Now, I just wanted to rush up, take a knife, and cut open his hypocritical and dirty mask, and tell him to get away with that vixen. After Riven vented his anger, he didn't wait for me to coax him humbly. He couldn't afford to lose face. He paused for a moment, walked over, and hugged me. "Aurelia, don't force me, okay? I'm already so annoyed with my work every day. I'll be very nice to you after we get married. Go back and discuss it with your uncle, okay?" His warm palm was placed on my hair, as always, coaxing me to go home and ask my dad to sponsor his career. How stupid I was. I gently broke free, looked up into his eyes, and suggested buying something to show filial respect to my dad. Riven readily agreed and gave me the supplementary card, telling me to buy whatever I wanted. After leaving the office, I rushed straight to the mall. I picked the best bags, perfumes, cigarettes, alcohol, and tea to buy. Soon, the supplementary card was maxed out. Riven called. As soon as he answered, he started blaming me. "Aurelia, what did you buy? Why is there no money left on the card?" I smiled and explained. The things my dad likes are quite expensive. Riven. You can't catch a wolf without sacrificing a lamb. He didn't say another word and hung up the phone. For 3 days. I stayed in the new house and dealt with all the items prepared for the wedding. When I showed up in front of Riven again, I told him that my dad didn't agree and insisted on receiving the betrothal gifts before getting married. Riven's face was as black as the bottom of a pot. His lips trembled as he watched me come back empty-handed without even wearing a coat and drive away. I lay on the sofa seat and let out a long, comfortable sigh. I clicked on the location on my phone. No. 299. Who are you on road? I used my best friend's phone to make a call. Is this 110? I'd like to report that someone is engaging in prostitution. After hanging up the phone, I called my best friend and went to the police station to wait. Sure enough, before long, Riven and Meta came back in a police car. Riven's clothes were in disarray. He was wearing home pajamas in the middle of winter, with most of his chest exposed. Meta was wrapped in a coat, and the wind blew up the corners of her coat, revealing the pitifully little fabric inside. Not long after they went in, Sylas arrived, obviously coming to bail them out. I patted my knees that were numb from squatting, took my best friend's hand, and walked into the police station. The moment Riven saw me, the expression on his face was quite something. Aurelia. Riven. How can you be worthy of me? Have you forgotten that we're about to get married? I cried bitterly, my eyes full of pain. I rushed up and slapped him twice across the face. I put all my strength into these 2 slaps. Visibly, having fulfilledly. Riven's cheeks swelled up immediately. Meta's face turned pale, and she took off her usual disguise. Aurelia, what are you doing? What's it got to do with you? You're a homewrecker. My best friend grabbed Meta's hair and pulled it so hard that her scalp was turned outwards. Sylas tried to break up the fight from both sides, looking as anxious as an ant on a hot pan. The farce didn't stop until the police banged the water cups on the table several times. This is a police station, not your own home. Family conflicts. Go back and solve them by yourselves. The young policeman in a smart uniform, full of righteousness, pointed at Riven's nose and scolded him. Go back and think about it carefully. Your fiancée is so beautiful. Yet you're still having an affair with your ex-lover and meeting secretly in the middle of the night. As soon as these words came out, the room was dead silent. My best friend and I exchanged glances. She was shocked all over her face. Ex-wife? Whose ex-wife? Police officer. Are you saying this woman is his ex-wife? I was still the heartbroken woman who had been deceived by her fiancé, lying on the table and crying uncontrollably. The police officer looked at Riven with even more disgust. What a scoundrel. Sylas had already slipped out through the back door. Before dawn, the news that Riven had been arrested for prostitution spread like wildfire. And all of our mutual friends knew about it. Many close sisters sent their greetings, bluntly saying that scumbags and bitches deserved each other and told me to break up with Riven quickly and that the next one would be better. The partners of Riven's company, somehow getting the news, cancelled orders and cooperation one after another. Overnight, Riven seemed to have aged 7 or 8 years. To get rid of the stigma of prostitution, he had no choice but to make a statement on moments. He admitted that Meta was the one his parents had arranged for him to marry when he was in his hometown, and that their old flame had been rekindled. Anyway, heaven fulfilled my obsession. It sounded better than being arrested for prostitution. I went back to the apartment, packed up all my things, and gave him a week to transfer the money he borrowed from my family to my account. Riven's face was as black as the bottom of a pot. He reflected on his mistakes over and over again. Aurelia, I know I'm wrong. I won't dare to do it again. I'll break off relations with Meta right in front of you now. He looked regretful. But it wasn't because he regretted losing our years of relationship. It was just that he was worried that without my family's help, he would face numerous difficulties in his future business. The moment the phone was connected, Meta's voice was full of grievance. Before she could pour out all her complaints, her words were shattered by the man's ruthless words. Meta. Stop pestering me. I only love Aurelia. I loved her in the past. I love her now. And I will always love her in the future. Meta was sobbing so hard that she couldn't speak properly. Revan. You're lying to me. Right? How long has Aurelia been with you? How can it compare to our more than 20 years of relationship? Revan cruelly hung up the phone, put Meta on the blacklist, and deleted all contact information. In my eyes, his actions were childish and laughable. Did he think that just by doing these things, he could wipe out the harm he had caused me? It was because I had been too gentle with Revan for so many years that he got the illusion that I couldn't live without him. In the following few days, Revan squatted downstairs at my place every day, unshaken by wind or rain. On my way home, I ran into a neighbor I knew. In a tone of someone who had been through a lot, he advised me, "Men always make mistakes. Forgive him. It's windy and rainy outside. Don't let Revan get soaked." I just smiled and didn't say anything, then turned around and left. The neighbor shouted from behind, "You're young and inexperienced. Girl. You'll regret it later. Men are all the same." I didn't receive Revan's payment, but instead, I was subjected to online violence. Meta was in charge of operating a Weibo account with tens of thousands of followers in the company. She pinned the marriage certificate at the top of the page, along with a statement telling the story of her relationship with Revan that had lasted for over 20 years, accusing me of how I had meddled in their marriage and used my power to oppress others, forcing Revan to abandon his wife. The whole text was passionate, seizing on the current sentiment among netizens who hated mistresses the most, portraying me as an extremely evil woman. Photos, heaven-fulfilled way of sigh, social media accounts, and my home address were all dug up by Meta and posted online. In no time, the situation on the internet quickly escalated. The number of reposts and views exploded. The public was outraged, and countless malicious private messages came at me like sharp knives, penetrating everywhere. Although my body wasn't physically harmed, my heart was already bleeding. When I went downstairs again, I ran into that neighbor again. He had a look of contempt on his face and spoke in a mean tone. "I thought you were the victim, but I didn't expect you to be a vixen. It's really unlucky to live with someone like you." When Revan called, I was sorting out the materials for my counterattack. There was silence on the other end of the phone for a while, before he weakly called out Aurelia. "Revan. We've known each other for 3 years. Even if there's no love between us, we should still have some friendship. You let Meta slander me. Do you want to ruin me?" Revan's voice was hoarse as he still tried to defend himself. "No. It was Taodao who took the initiative. I had no idea at all." I snorted softly. "The Weibo post has been up for 12 hours. You're the boss of the company. Don't you know about the Weibo operation account? Is it so hard to issue a clarification?" Revan didn't answer my question. He let out a long sigh as if he had made up his mind. "Aurelia, I can clear your name. But you have to marry me, and get the certificate first. I swear that once I get the certificate, I'll issue a statement immediately." I gripped my phone tightly, and suddenly felt that he was so strange. The young man in my memory who was as clear and bright as the moon after rain, who sheltered me from the wind and rain and made me happy, was like an illusion getting farther and farther away from me. My youth was wasted. I took a deep breath and informed Revan word by word, also saying goodbye to my past self. "Revan, I won't marry you. Not now. And never in the future." The moment I hung up the phone, the clarification statement was sent out as well. From the timeline of Revan's divorce from Meta to his relationship with me. From the fact that Revan concealed his divorce and deliberately tried to deceive me into marriage, to the incident where the two of them were taken to the police station for their affair, and all the money he borrowed from me in various names during that period. There were bills as evidence. Once it was released, the direction of public opinion reversed, and the finger of blame was once again pointed at Meta, who had made false accusations first, and the man hiding behind the two women. The image of Revan as a phoenix man and a second marriage swindler was firmly established. Revan's mother called, and her words were too vulgar to bear. I blocked their contact information. I asked my father to hire a famous lawyer for me, and filed a lawsuit against the two of them. I didn't show up again until the court session. On the day the court trial ended, I got back everything that I deserved. Revan's reputation was seriously damaged. In the industry where information spreads quickly, he could no longer find a decent job in Nanchi. Mehta went back to her hometown. As for whether she and Riven rekindled their old relationship later, I didn't bother to know. Later I focused on my work, went to develop on a bigger platform, realized my dream that I had for years, and met many more outstanding people. Looking back on the past, everything seemed fated. When I was 30 years old, I had a happy family and a lovely baby. Our parents got along well. Even when there were occasional conflicts between mother-in-law and daughter-in-law, they ended before they even started, under the condition that my husband unconditionally took my side. Life was moving forward bit by bit in the direction that I had designed years ago. The universe is full of romance, and there are warm moments in life. I will march forward with firm steps towards the countless tenderness and romance in the future. Riven's side story: I was born in a small town in the north. My father died early, and my mother raised me alone. Since I was a child, I knew that going to school was the only way to change my life. I worked very hard, and my efforts were rewarded. In the year of the college entrance examination, I was admitted to a university in Nanchi as an outstanding graduate. On the day I got the admission notice, my mother hugged me and cried for a long time. Tao Dao also congratulated me on achieving my dream and repeatedly emphasized that when I went to the big city I shouldn't forget her. How could I forget? Without her family's help over the years, I didn't even know if I could finish high school. I was very grateful to Tao Dao. During the years when I was away from home, it was she who took care of my mother. I had known Mehta since we were children. The feelings between us as childhood sweethearts were genuine. She failed the college entrance examination, and could only choose an ordinary junior college in our local area after graduating from high school. The gap between us grew wider and wider. If it hadn't been for the fact that Tao Dao's mother got cancer that year and didn't have long to live, and she only wanted to see her daughter settled down before she died, I think that even if there hadn't been Aurelia later, I wouldn't have married Mehta. Less than 3 months after we got married, Tao Dao's mother passed away. It was also at this time that I met Aurelia. Unlike Mehta's flamboyant and passionate personality, Aurelia was a girl who grew up in a big city with the gentle and bright charm of a Jiangban girl. What was rare was that she was not spoiled and was kind-hearted. Almost at first sight, I knew that this girl was simple and easy to win over. In the following days, everything went smoothly. I proposed divorce to Tao Dao. The reason was simple. I was still young, and being married was not conducive to the development of my future career. I still remembered Tao Dao's expression at that time. There was a hint of loneliness and stubbornness in her eyes. As usual, she patted my shoulder and said, "Even if you didn't mention it, I would have brought it up. Our relationship is more suitable to stay at the level of friends." The process of pursuing Aurelia was very smooth. Her father was a busy businessman with little time to accompany her. She lost her mother at an early age, which led to some personality flaws. Under the offensive of my care and sweet words, Aurelia soon fell for me. We had reached the stage of discussing marriage. I don't know which part went wrong, but her attitude towards me changed. It seemed that everything started when Tao Dao came to Nanchi. I didn't believe in women's sixth sense before, but now I do. They can always accurately capture the slightest clues. No matter how careful I was, I would still give myself away. I'm an adult man with the most basic physical needs. So when Tao Dao was drugged by her boss, and I helped her beat up the boss, and she lay in my arms with a flushed face, it was hard for me not to be tempted. After not seeing each other for years, she was no longer the carefree girl she used to be. The charm of a mature woman was hard for me to resist. I fell for it. Later I learned that every time I was intimate with Tao Dao, she would turn around and show off to Aurelia. She said she liked me and didn't care about having a name, but in fact she had always wanted to drive Aurelia away. On the night when I was arrested by the police, I begged the police officer not to bring Aurelia there, but she somehow got the news. When she learned that I had once been married to Tao Dao, she burst into tears, and my heart ached. I did like her. She was a beautiful and generous girl who only had eyes for me. Who wouldn't like her? Later I tried my best to make up for it, but she didn't give me a chance. She even asked me to return the sponsorships over the years within a week. How could that be possible? Not to mention that I couldn't afford that much money. Even if I could, I didn't want to give it back. I let Tao Dao slander her online, hoping that she would come to me crying and begging, and then I would help her. But she was stern and said that she would never marry me in this lifetime. The online comments underwent earth-shaking changes, and the focus of public opinion was directed at me and Tao Dao. Tao Dao got angry and ran back to her hometown, leaving me alone to clean up the mess. The moment I got the court notice I knew, and it was completely over between me and Aurelia. Without the help from Aurelia's family and Bird, and with hundreds of thousands of debts, I could only sell my company to my friend, and also sold my car. When I wanted to borrow money from my relatives and friends around me, they all avoided me like the plague. At that moment I really regretted it. I had lost my girl. Later I heard that she got married a man who was well matched in family background and had a happy family. I finally paid off all the debts and got married to Tao Dao under my mother's coercion. Life has to go on. In the middle of the night when I woke up from my dreams, I would look at the bright moon outside the window and always remember a certain night when I held my beloved girl in my arms and enjoyed the moon on the porch, and we both looked forward to a beautiful future together. It's all gone and can't be brought back. The end.